Mic'd up.
Speak.
We're on.
Play us
We're
in. Play us in.
I can't.
There's a play-in on there.
Where?
We're gonna play the highlights from Lowlifes.
Oh, yeah, it's over
Play
here,
in.
huh?
Hi, folks.
Is it in there? Yeah. All right. Oh, you got to hit it twice?
From Lowlifes.
All right, another professional broadcast by the highlights from Lowlifes. Here we are at Almanac Brewing in Alameda, as promised, wearing our brand new highlights from Lowlifes jerseys. I've got the whole gang with me here tonight. We're having some technical difficulties, so I'm hoping you can hear us. But I'm Rob Weber. To my right is Marty Brown. Marty, wave for everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. I got Rob Lannerman, who's our technician tonight. Doug Penny, Doug J.C. Penny. Brent Teddy Bear Tetlow. Chuck Hammy Arthur. And Dave Big Juicy Hall. These are all of our regular contributors, minus a few. Jeff Jones is on assignment, and Terry Lee just had shoulder surgery. Yeah, we've had a few beers here today at Almanac Brewing.
We're before a live studio audience.
Yeah, we the first time huge audience.
Let's hear them go crazy.
And a photo for us. Go crazy,
folks. So folks, you're watching us on the Mic'd Up app, and if you'd like to ask us a question or make a comment, just hit the microphone at the bottom of the screen, and you got 30 seconds to leave us a question or comment. And if you don't swear, we'll actually see it and we'll play it on the air. It'll be great. So thanks for joining us. We're really excited about our new jerseys. JC is going to show you first, over my left shoulder, the back of his jersey. It's a name and number combination. So he's sporting the True Kolsch 49 jersey. True Kolsch is one of the beers here at Almanac Brewing. I believe it's a favorite of JC's. All right,
good.
All right, Brent, move into position. And Brent's going to show us the back of his jersey. This is a great beer drinking jersey. One of my favorites of all time. Almost There 0.07. Excellent jersey. Let's give him a hand. Yeah. All right.
The audience went crazy for that one.
Yeah.
All right, Chuck, you're up next. Chuck, what movie is this from?
The comebacks.
Oh, okay. Look up the comebacks.
Careful how you search for that.
On IMDb, and this is a kid that tried out for the football team. His name is Asil Tare, and his coach pronounced it ACL tear. So, excellent football jersey. Way to go, Chuck. All right, Dave, move into position here and show us the back of the jersey there. Dave, of course, is sporting a bit of a dome. He'll be wearing number 8, and 8 ball is his jersey to signify his lack of hair.
More like cue ball.
All right. All right, Marty, can you show us your jersey?
Right here.
No. The back of your jersey.
All right.
We'll just take a break while Marty moves into position here. As you know, Marty on the show has become famous for his clip-on ties, and he is now Mr. Clip-on. And of course, he's wearing his tie today. That's perfect.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Oh, this is a tradition.
All right, Robbie, show us yours. Show us yours. Yeah. All right, this one, I don't think there's an explanation I can give for this jersey. I think you just need to read into it what you will. It's not like I could probably say it, but I'm not going to. So, all right, thank you. There you go. All right. I'll be number 22, catch 22.
Hey, good job.
For those of you that couldn't hear him because he turned his face away from the microphone, catch 22.
All right, gang. These jerseys, we're looking into a way for you to be able to order them for yourself and keep up with our theme and with our two sponsors, Mic'd Up and Almanac Brewing. So thanks for joining the show. Tonight's topic, since we're in a brewery, great sports stories that involve beer. Yeah. So we do have some comments that have come in from our friends at Yankees Coast to Coast. We will be without sound effects tonight, so those are our sound effects. So we see a few of those. Please, if you get a chance, leave us one of your questions or comments regarding the topic tonight. So the Lowlifes are a group of Bay Area baseball players, senior baseball players, who got together during the pandemic to commiserate. And are you counting me out? No.
Going for a beer.
Oh, you're taking the beer. Okay, that's okay.
My impression of thing.
So we got together during the pandemic and for mental health issues, did Zoom calls and drank, and these evolved into top 5 shows where we, discuss important topics like top 5 Batman villains, things like that. Met up with the folks at Mic'd Up and asked if we could do a show, and they said no. And then we asked again, and eventually they said yes. So we've been doing this for, 65 episodes, I think, is tonight. So thank you for joining us all. So looking for one of you guys to start off the evening's festivities with a good story about sports and beer. Who wants to start?
I've got one.
All right, Dave.
Step up.
Move front and center, please.
Well, beer and baseball have been intertwined for a long time, but it wasn't always that way. Back in the 1870s, early 1880s, baseball is just getting organized. And you had the National League, a number of teams playing. The National League required that all teams submit to their pricing authority for each and every club and each game that the club played. They had a prohibition on playing on Sundays, and most importantly to a lot of fans, no alcohol, no beer, wine, anything. And it was this way until the advent of the American Association. So all us baseball fans that love beer have to thank the American Association, and a charter member were the Cincinnati Reds. So back in the 1870s, they formed the American Association of Baseball, and it was known as the Beer and Whiskey League. They played games on Sunday. They had beer sponsorships. The distilleries were sponsoring teams. They had a rip-roaring time. You had the St. Louis Browns. It was all the river cities, because in those days, River City connoted, guess what, guys? Lowlifes. Lowlifes went and did things on Sunday and had a good time, not stayed at home and just went to church. So, at any rate, we have a debt of gratitude to the American Association of Baseball to integrate beer into the sport.
Excellent. Very good. All right, Dave. Thank you very much. Okay, who's up next? Who wants to give a short story?
I got one.
All right, Marty. Go get it, Marty.
All right, this one is called "No Good Deed Goes Unpunished," and we all know about that. You don't see it much anymore, but in the minor leagues, and especially in Reno, Thursday nights are Thirsty Thursdays.
Yes.
$2 beer. Now, you only have to.
There's no problem with that.
No. Well, hold on. Here's the problem. All right. There's only one location in the stadium to get the beer. So you got to walk out to the center field bar. No big deal. It's not a big stadium. But like all the other stadiums now, they're cashless, right? No cash. So you're sitting there waiting in line to buy your 2 beers for $4. And it's happened to me a couple times where the guy in front is holding up the line because he didn't know about the cashless bit. So always got it. He always got his cash. So what does a good guy do? I'll pick up the 10. 2 beers at $2. No big deal, right? $4. And the guy's very grateful. The man moves the whole bit. Now the game goes on, and you're off doing other things. Now you guys are all gentlemen. So if I bought you a beer, you would want to
Buy you a beer.
reciprocate. Right?
Drink it.
Right. Thank you. The problem is the $2 beer stopped at the 5th inning. Is that going to stop the guy? No. We're going to the beer stand. We're getting he's very grateful, so he buys the big beer. And now I'm stuck drinking this thing after I've been plastered all night long, wondering how the hell am I going to get home? No good deed goes unpunished.
So good. There it is.
So there it is. There it is.
Excellent story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
All right, who's next?
Well, I go.
Don't be afraid.
Go
Go ahead, Chuck.
Mine's more of a shout out to baseball fans who catch foul balls or home runs in their beer. And you can Google this. You can see a lady holding a baby in one hand and a beer in the other and catching it in the beer. And my favorite one, though, is the guy who catches it in his beer, goes everywhere, and he chugs the rest of the beer with the ball still in it. That's good baseball.
Right, don't ever interrupt a good point, right?
All right, JC. He's ready. He's moving in.
All right.
He's got notes.
Hey.
Look at this.
Everybody knows that there are some great baseball announcers. Former Cardinals announcer got too enthused with the product that St. Louis was offering, Budweiser, and he imbibed on the air a lot. Then he moved to the Chicago Cubs, and he had trouble pronouncing some of the players' names. Famously, he came up and he tried to introduce Mark Razalukik, Greenlaw, Gruzanuluk, Mark G, Harry Carey. There had to be 1 or 12 beers involved in that whole deal. But Budweiser, a famous sponsor, and Harry, a famous consumer.
Excellent
Okay.
stuff. All right, I got it.
And again, the audience loved it.
All right, I have a very, very, very disgusting story. I used to think that this was a myth, that this didn't actually happen until I saw it on YouTube one night. So sometime back in the 80s or 90s, a young fan at a Chicago baseball game, I don't know if it was Wrigley or Comiskey, he was out of money and he wanted another beer. So he came up with a plan, probably one of the worst plans he could possibly come up with, but it worked. He said, I'm going to go into the restroom and I'm going to bet everyone in the restroom that $20 I will do a swan dive through the urinal.
This is a trough, you understand.
The trough, the old trough urinals with the urinal cakes in them, for extra protein. And there it is on YouTube. I think if you look for urinal dive, you'll find this. This kid, 22, 23 years old, gets a running start with a crowd of about 50 to 75 guys in the john, and basically swims through that entire urinal and collects $20 from each patron who agreed to pay up while dripping wet with urine. Anything for your next beer.
Oh, wow.
I'll drink to that.
Studio audience is going nuts. Not sure if that's a good thing or not, but they're going nuts. So my beer drinking story is it was a personal story. I had the very fortunate opportunity to go back to Chicago for a beer industry meeting, and because of a couple of connections, I was able to go to Wrigley Field and sit in the Lagunitas suites at Wrigley Field, which is just to the right of home plate. And it was great. It was during a big Chicago beer conference. There was a ton of people there. The stadium was packed with people in the industry, which I'm a part of as well. And so that was just great. But being in the suite was awesome. And there's a certain point, though, where you go, I mean, I like Almanac, and I like, when you're in Chicago, they have a really crappy beer called Old Style. It is very awful. And yet there's something about Old Style at Wrigley Field that's magical. And I was in the Lagunitas suite, and all they had was that damn Lagunitas IPA. I gotta tell you, I was done with that. I could bite into a tree and get the resin. I don't need to have to drink that damn IPA. So anyway, I kind of snuck out of the suite and went all the way down to the first level where I knew there was an Old Style stand, and I got myself a really tall, big beer of Old Style. Came back up to the suite. I walked in. The owner of Lagunitas, Tony McGee, looks at me and goes, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I just got myself kicked out of a suite at Wrigley Field." It turns out Tony's from Chicago. Tony knew it was Old Style, and he was like, "Where the hell is mine?" So the next thing I know, Tony McGee's on the phone ordering up a bunch of Old Style for everybody in the suite. So I thought I was in trouble that day. Yeah. So there you go.
Good job. So I'm glad I didn't follow Rob's, and I'm going to follow Rob's because mine's a personal one too. Doesn't have to do with baseball, but where I work, a big group of us got together with a vendor to go ice fishing up in Elko, Nevada, and we drove up there. We packed all our lunches and everything, all our fishing gear, all that stuff. We have breakfast. We come out to the truck. We get in to head up to White Horse Lake, up in just outside of Elko, north of Elko. And at that time, we were driving in a Chevy truck that had a thermometer that was up in the rearview mirror. You know, it says when we got in the truck, it said 24 degrees outside. So, it's going to be a little cool. So we head up the mountain to go towards White Horse Lake. And I look up there and it says 18. Then I look up again, it says 12. Then I look up again and it says 8. And I go, wow, I wonder what happens when it gets to 0. Then I look up and it says 2. And we're turn off Main Road and going down to the Lake Road. And I look over there and it says 0. I said, oh, okay, it just goes to 0 and that's about it. We get down to the boat ramp where we're gonna get out. We just walk out because the lake is totally frozen. I look up and it says -2. And it's a blue sky day. There's about this much snow on the lake. So we just take our stuff and head out there. We get out, we move some of the snow away, we drill our holes, and we bait up, we'll get the little strainers and pull the ice away from the hole, and we get our lines in the water. We go, okay, good. Now let's wait for the perch and the trout. And so we're waiting. Then we thought, oh, now's the time for beer. We go over to the ice chest, give it a nice chest, top. Hey, cheers, everybody. And this little icicle comes up out of the top of the can. Yeah, and it just comes up and then it stops. And so we got we're kind of giving a couple of licks and then shaking a little bit. And so what we did is end up taking the ice chest back to the truck and put it inside the truck, turned the car on, we went back out, and half an hour later, we had to warm up our beer so we could drink it. So, anyway, that's my beer story.
All right, we do a break here.
My favorite part of the show. It's called What You Drinking, and tonight, as you can tell, we are live from Almanac Brewing here in Alameda, California. Hey! Everyone's going crazy at Almanac, that's for sure. This is our segment, What You Drinking, the highlights from Lowlifes show. As always, is sponsored by Almanac Brewing. They are one of America's premier craft brewers. We are going, look at Marty. God's sakes, he's going through the whole flight tonight. We are tasting a bunch of beers. These guys have been gracious today. They took us on a tour. We hung out with the brewmaster. He spoke with us for a little while. We were just staring at stacks and stacks of beer on the other side of us. So it was a pretty damn good night. I am drinking a brand new beer they've called the Zaff Pilsner. It's really delicious, kind of a Czech style. A little crunchy, a little creamy. It's a really delicious Pilsner. We're going to plow through this pretty quick, but everybody's going to tell you what they're drinking because we're drinking a bunch of different stuff tonight. And cheers to Almanac. My God, they're killing it for us.
Everything they do is terrific, but this is something, and they did it again. They did a dark beer that I really love, and I found out they didn't have it anymore. But I may have found a new one. It's called the Dunk, and it's got a nice full aroma, a nice taste, but it goes down real smooth. Almanac, you did it again. Thank you.
He's like the Galloping Gourmet.
Yeah.
He was a drunk too. I mean, no.
I know what Casey's drinking.
Oh!
True Kolsch, first and favorite.
Everybody.
JC, I had one of those earlier when we stopped in. Now I'm trying the Zapp, and it's very good. It's a very good, crisp, clean Pilsner. I like it.
Earlier, I had the Rocktoberfest, which is very good, but now I'm drinking the Zapp as well.
I'm staying with Rocktoberfest. It's a great fest beer. Prost.
Roast.
Roast. All right, I'm drinking the Flow. Now, Marty, what else do you have in your flight here?
Well, this was the Kolsch.
The Kolsch.
Yeah, this is the left that Hefeweizen. What's the name?
Hugs.
Okay.
Hugs
Wait. I don't like wheat beer, but I like this.
What you do now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rocktoberfest,
Okay.
and of course the Dunkel.
All right. Let's do another round of stories.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, may I go?
Yes, you may.
Kind
Yes,
of
you may.
piggybacks on
Go for it. Get in the picture. People love to see that beautiful
And
face and tie.
When did that happen?
Just now.
Just now. All right. Thank you.
He just said
Because this is called, the name of the story is Buffalo Beer.
You got a name for your story?
I got a name for my stories.
Wow,
I
I
did a lot of work with this.
I really did not prepare for this.
This is no fly-by-night organization.
First
Well, it
day
is a
of
fly-by-night
summer.
organization. But anyway, all right. But back in the early 90s, and when I know you guys weren't around. So all right. I was living in Colorado, and the Colorado Buffaloes were a good football team at the time. So going to a Buffalo football game was hard to do because it was always sold out. But there was one game that was around Thanksgiving time that one of the tickets fell down to me. I had a series of tickets, so I got one. I said around Thanksgiving, and there's two reasons that I got the ticket. And it's not because I'm popular and everybody loves me like you guys. Right, sure. Right.
I just
Don't get choked up.
I just threw up in my Zaff.
just a little bit.
The red light just came on. You can't say that. But it was a night game in November, and it was colder than nobody wanted to go, so the ticket fell down to me. So we're driving to the ballpark, and I'm right behind the driver, drinking a beer.
No.
Imagine that. We pull into the stadium. So I open the door, take the beer, put it up on the roof, and spilled it all over the place. No. Put it on. Then you get out 1 foot at a time because then you got your hat, then you got your gloves, then you get everything else. Oh, and then the announcement came on the radio that the band wasn't going to play that night because it was so cold. The Trumpeters couldn't put their mouthpiece up their lips because it would freeze to their lips. You can idea how cold it was. Thank you.
Good Mark.
Anyway, I'm all set, ready to go to the ballpark. I grab the beer, and it's frozen to the top of the car.
Wow. Oh, no.
That was a cold night.
That is a cool guy.
All right, that'll happen. And add insult to injury, Colorado was playing Nebraska. Guess who won?
Nebraska.
No,
No one.
no one.
Nobody.
The tie?
It was a freezing night, and I had to sit there and go through a tie game. What a way! Oh.
Did you put your tongue in a light torch that night?
For $20.
Great story, and I like this shit. Back with you go. Back with it. I'm out of here.
Next story.
Okay, so this is an infamous situation. Renowned closer Mill Famey comes to Milwaukee to face the Brewers. Brewer players knew they couldn't hit either Mill Famey's screwball or his fastball. So what they did is they sent a bunch of beer down to the bullpen. By the time Mill Famey came in with a one-run lead, he couldn't see the plate, much less throw a pitch over it. He walked the tying and winning run in for the Brewers, and they said it was the beer that made Mill Famey walk us.
Yeah. Quick, somebody else, quick.
I'm going to get maudlin and sentimental.
Oh.
Well, then you go up, and you take it back down a little bit, like at a concert, and then you come back apart.
So you're saying JC
Okay.
kind of took it down?
So, and my favorite beer drinking and baseball story, it involves several of the guys here, Brent, JC, Chuck. I think you guys know this story.
Oh, yes.
We all play in a baseball league together, and we went down to San Diego for a tournament. And fortunately, they usually play on the same team together in these tournaments. And one year, I got fortunate enough to be placed on the same team with them. And we had a morning game on a Saturday, the 8:30 game, something like that. And we there was a banquet that night that started at 7. And so we played the game, and I don't even remember if we won or lost. I don't
We
really.
won.
Okay, we won.
You did.
All right.
I contributed a lot. So,
I can't remember.
nonetheless, we got back to the hotel, and we went outside and sat down. There was a large round table, and there was about 8 of us, 4 of us and 4 other guys. And we sat down and started having some beers and laughing and talking about the game. And some people were coming down from the hotel to head over to the ballpark to play their games. And they said hi, goodbye, good to see you guys. And they took off, and they'd come back, and they finished their game. And that happened like 3 different times. So we sat there for a good 8.5 hours, I guess, drinking beer and just talking about anything and everything. It's kind of like this show. We just go off the rails, come back onto the rails, go back off the rails. But it's one of the greatest days I've ever had in baseball in my entire life, and it had nothing to do with the field. It was just being with my friends, drinking a bunch of. So much time passed, we had no clue because we were just enjoying being around each other and telling lies and talking shit. So, my favorite day.
Burgers and fries.
Yeah, there was some food too, but
Cheers.
still,
That was a good day.
That was a good day.
still my favorite day in baseball.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
Now he's got it.
Well, I'm going to tell a story about Bill Spaceman Lee. And the date was May 8th, 1982. Lee was playing for the Montreal Expos. And if you know anything about the Spaceman, you can guess a little bit with his name. He was very iconoclastic, very counterculture. And he had worn out his welcome with Boston Red Sox and was traded to the Expos. And on that date, the Expos were playing in Montreal at the Olympic Stadium, and they were playing the Los Angeles Dodgers. So as the game got started, Spaceman was a relief pitcher, so he's out in the bullpen, and he finds out that one of his best friends on the team just has been traded. and no word had come beforehand. He finds out right then and there. It throws him into a rage. So he deciding what to do. And what do you do when you're under pressure? You don't know where to go. Well, you go to where all your friends know your name, and that would be the local bar, Brasserie 77 in Montreal, across the street from the stadium. But he doesn't go to the clubhouse to change his gear. He's in his full uniform, cleats. He's walking out of the bullpen through the stadium. And a reporter from the Montreal Gazette sees him and follows him over there. And he heads into the Brazier 77, Brasserie 77. And everybody knows him. That's his hangout, man. And so he's taking cold ones. He's shooting pool. He's commiserating about the loss of his friend. And finally, about 8th inning, he decides, well, maybe I should go back. So he goes back to the stadium and does not get in the game. And for him, that was the last day of his career, not only with the Montreal Expos, but in Major League Baseball. So where did he spend it? Where everybody knows your name and you are a friend of theirs in Brasserie 77 in Montreal.
That's a great story. Who's up next, guys?
I got a quick one about Harry Carey.
Step right on up to the table.
Quick one about Harry Carey. Apparently, he's been known to drink a little bit.
No.
Yeah. One day, he came out of his watering establishment, and he was wanting to get a ride home. So he's hailing cabs out there, and he finally gets one's attention. And the car comes up, pulls up to the curb, and he gets in the back seat, tells him where he wants to go. It's not a cab, it's the police car. And being such a good guy in the town, the police took him right where he wanted to go, back to the hotel room. And he was yes, true story.
All right. My story was inspired by an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys ever watched that
Excellent.
show.
Green man.
Yeah.
Green man.
But yeah, a bunch of people who kind of losers that own a bar in Philadelphia. Anyway, this episode was called "The Gang Beats Boggs," and they're talking about Wade Boggs and the story of him flying from a game in Boston to Seattle and drinking 107 beers. Although in the episode they said it was 50 or 60 beers, but apparently one of the stars of the show was talking to Boggs afterwards, and he said, no, it was 107. So 107 beers from Boston to Seattle, and then he kicked some ass in the game in Seattle the next day. That's a pretty good beer story.
All right. I got one. Good. All right. So I happen to own season tickets to spring training for the Giants in Scottsdale. And I've owned these since the mid 80s. And any of you who went to the games back in the mid 80s, there was this vendor. He was probably 165 years old. He was maybe 5 feet tall, and he might have weighed 85 pounds. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not a lot. If you saw him struggling up the aisles with Old Style, he had Old Style, Rod refrigerator, 2 huge buckets of Old Style, filled to the brim, iced down. He's up the aisle, and he wants to sell them. And you just want to buy beer from him to save his life. Because he is struggling to get up these stairs just to get to you. And when he gets to the top of the stairs, you feel like, oh, I need to do something for him. He did go from the bottom of the stairs to the top of the stairs. So I need to help him out. But worse yet, this is what really grossed me out, is he was a multi-capacity vendor. He was selling you beer, but he had the red ropes wrapped around his sweaty neck. And he wanted to sell those to you. So we decided to buy one time just to see what the consistency of this was. So we got our Old Styles, and then we got the red rope. Now, the red rope was wrapped in plastic, but the plastic was coated in this poor man's sweat. So we threw the red rope away and drank the old styles. But I saw this guy for 15 years and then he disappeared. I'm sure he's retired at 175 these days. But yeah, that was my first memories of Scottsdale, Arizona, and old style beer. So, all right. Okay.
Nice. Cheers.
Hey, let's keep it rolling. Let's
All
keep
right.
it rolling.
Okay.
Come on, guys.
All right.
More stories.
All right.
I got to get another beer, so I'm going to go first.
Oh,
And this is a quick story. I remember being a little kid. It's probably 1972, 73. Went to the A's game, and the A's game used to sell ginormous popcorn buckets of beer.
oh yes.
The buckets of beer.
Buckets of beer. Sure.
Buckets of beer.
Right.
And we had really good seats one day down fairly close to the dugout on the first base side. Sal Bando was at the plate. I don't remember. Maybe it was Marty Patton was the pitcher for the Brewers. Threw a curveball. Sal Bando kind of dived out and flicked it. High pop up. Came over our way, about 3 or 4 rows. It was as close as I'd ever been to a foul ball at 7. That ball came down, and the guy had the bucket of beer and wasn't paying attention.
Oh no.
Right through the bucket, whoosh, all the beer was out. Beautiful, just like that. At 7, it's hilarious. At 60, I cried. So it's amazing your perception changes throughout your life. Anyway, there you go.
But then, what a good story, because you remind me of something that is very close to my heart. When I was a little kid, we lived in Seattle, and I remember the Pilots for one season, and they were gone.
Really?
Yeah,
One season?
just
Were
they
they
were
that
there
bad?
for one season, or maybe I was gone after. I don't know. Someone was gone. Okay. So Dad moves us to the Bay Area, and Dad says we're taking the family with my grandparents.
Talk to the audience.
Oh, the audience
Okay.
to Candlestick Park for a doubleheader. It was the
still
old
gonna be-
daylight doubleheader
Okay, I'll stand here.
because nobody else was paying attention.
Here, talk to me.
All right. So they're. I remember they were playing the Padres, and it was about 5th inning, 6th inning, no score. Then Grandpa says he's going to go get a beer and a sandwich. So Grandpa leaves. The Giants score 2 runs. All right. Okay. So what happened to an old man? Shit, I'm the old man now. But anyway, all right. After having a few beers, he has to give them back. So he gets up again. So when he leaves again, Giants score 2 more runs. Giants wind up winning the game. So there's a second game, and the Giants are losing. So everybody's telling Grandpa, you want to go get another beer? Go get another beer, Grandpa. Because they left the Giants.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny story. Nice. Very good, very good.
All right, who's got one? Let's go.
All right, I'll go again. All right. So I'm going to take you back to June 4th, 1974 in Cleveland, Ohio.
That's a funny story.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking about a special promotion, a 10-cent beer night. The Indians at the time are playing the Rangers. And a few weeks earlier in Texas, there had been a dust-up and a bench-clearing episode. So that is hanging over this game. So the game gets underway, and the fans could buy 10-cent beers up to 6 at a time, and you could come back repeatedly and buy 6 beers at 10 cents. 10 cents then is about 60 cents today for the beer. So the game gets started. There's a chip-in back and forth between players out there on the field, and we're getting into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th inning. And at this point, the crowd is starting to get pretty loose and pretty loud. And the chipping and chirping between the players is getting a little more edgy. And finally, towards the 7th inning, a couple of streakers come out of the stands, run across the field, and stop the game temporarily. And as people are leaving, the ones that are teetotaling with small families, the others that are staying are continuing to buy beer. So by the 8th inning now, you have a number of streakers out on the field, and one tries to take the cap of a Ranger player. So that sparks a bench clearing episode. So when the bench is cleared, most of the stands clear too, onto the field. There is a melee going on. The umpires are trying to ring things in and they give up. They just yell that it's a forfeiture. The Indians lose the game, Rangers win, and the umpires take off, and security can't stop it. They're just going crazy. So the game was called. They finally get it settled, and they ended up playing the game elsewhere. But that wasn't the last 10-cent beer promotion. They did another, but they were able to pull it off without a mini riot in Cleveland. So that's my beer story.
Excellent. Excellent. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
All right, who's got another?
Oh, I got another one. I got another sad Oakland Coliseum story.
Oh, bring me down, man.
So my wife gets me tickets, 50-yard line on a Raider game, and we're watching the game, but it's hard to see because we're down low on the 50-yard line, and all the players are standing up, so you can't see the field. But so I said, shit, I'm gonna go get a beer. So I go up and get a beer, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to a Raider game before, but coming back to my seat, it's like this, trying to hang on to the beer. By the time I get back, I got about that much beer left.
Oh, no.
And that's a typical beer at the Oakland Coliseum on the Raiders.
Chuck, how was it again as you go back?
Jostling it all over. I almost dropped the glass, too.
All right. Let me dive in here. Now's the time of the show that everybody hates, but I love. We call it. I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about what else is on the Mic'd Up platform. Mic'd Up, the app you're watching us on, is a app that you can get for free on both the Apple and Google platforms.
Don't take the fact that everybody walked away personally.
It's okay. I'm not offended at all. I'm only looking at myself. So the folks at Mic'd Up are looking to sell into large professional and amateur sports organizations and teams. And we are one of the proof of concept shows on the network. Other than us, there's the Rick Barry Show. Rick is a former NBA and ABA basketball player, Hall of Famer, coach, and so forth. Rick has a show that is on about twice a month. His co-host Cyrus and he will talk everything basketball, including the 3-on-3 league that Rick coaches in, that apparently is owned by Ice Cube. Who knew?
You had a pretty good day.
Yeah, that's right.
It's better than dating, huh?
So tune into Rick's show. He will answer every question you put in. He'll give you his honest opinion, which some people don't like, but he's a good listen. The Florida Sports Hall of Fame show with John Rieger and Barry Smith. They are on a couple of times a month. Barry's studio was shut down after the last hurricane, but as soon as that's cleared out, he'll be back on the air. They do interviews with folks who have been inducted into the Florida Sports Hall of Fame, like Wade Boggs and Fred Biletnikoff and Jan Stevenson. It's a great show. You get to learn a lot about what's going on in their careers post induction. So it's a great show to listen to. The AJ Rovner show has been on for the last couple of months. AJ's a big New York sports fan. He's an employee of the New York Giants, but he also likes the Rangers and the Mets. Has a great time talking about any sports. They're on once a week, and they usually do a review of the very dismal New York Giants and how they're doing. So it's fun to see these guys who love their team try to prop them up a bit. The Jim Darby Show. Jim is a former Easton and Mizuno sports executive who does a show once every other week. Jim will talk about the folks he's met in the industry, like Pete Rose and John Elway and Joe Montana, and basically his career in sports. He's also an accomplished author. And then finally, Yankees coast to coast. Our friends. Wait, I'm sorry. Are we done booing yet? Okay. All right, I think we're done. Adam Schneider and Mike Miller. Adam's on the East Coast, Mike's on the West Coast. They talk Yankees baseball way too much. They spend a lot of time talking about every single playoff game, and they live and die with the Yankees, which is kind of cool to watch.
Especially now that they're dead.
Mike and Adam are very passionate. They have a show tomorrow. They're going to talk about what the Yankees offseason looks like and what they're going to have to do to get back to the World Series.
Here's a quick recap from their show tomorrow.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay. All right. I'm looking for another round of good beer stories, and then we're going to do our play-ins from the audience. Ready?
First of all, what a great job. No teleprompter, no notes.
Nothing.
nothing.
You raw dogged it. You raw dogged it.
All right. Who's got a story? You got a story?
Yeah.
All right.
First off, a little shout out to our buddy Tiger, who is recovering from surgery. Couldn't be here with us tonight. We miss you. Hope you're feeling better. Now the rest of us, he said he couldn't be here because he was afraid to mix his oxycodone with beer. And I think the rest of us would have been calling an Uber. So, and then another shout out to my wife who's been battling cancer, and she is winning. So we've got the Bonnie 2 Cancer Zero jersey. Your second time she's going to kick its ass. So.
Yes. Love you. Bonnie, got you.
It got weird.
Don't get all excited. Again? So no, that's not a good time to get.
That's not the first
I
time.
went out and got a big thing. I don't. That would be a good time to bring this up.
Yeah, so that was. I'm lost now. I'm going to have to go back and retract and come up with my next story. So, any of you guys ready? Oh, actually, you know what? I am going to tell it. I will go ahead and tell it. We several of us took a trip several years ago to St. Louis. We actually went to St. Louis and Kansas City, a baseball trip. Saw a couple of games at the Cardinals game. Went over to Kansas City, saw the Negro League Museum. Went to the Royals game. That whole thing was great. But at the Cardinals game, Rob, not as good Rob, found yes, him. This thing called Cardinals Nation, which is part of the ballpark complex, but it's not actually in the ballpark. It's a taller building across the street from the left field wall. And for $100, you get a seat at the game, you get unlimited food and unlimited beverage, which included a full bar and everything for $100, and that bar served till the 9th inning. However, we did not tell Big Juicy, Dave Hall, that the bar was open till the end of the game. We kept telling Dave, starting in the 5th inning, your drink stop now. So we go, last call, Dave, last call. He became last call Hall for 4.5 innings. Last call, Dave, last call. And Dave, I gotta get another beer. And also, we drank, we stopped counting about the 6th inning. We all had about 15 or 16 cups in front of us, empty cups. We stopped counting at that point. Mathematically speaking, I don't think there is a number, maybe that sideways 8 that says infinity, as to how much we actually drank as a group at that game. But last call Hall, I will never forget, Dave, every time panicking, oh my God, I got to get another beer before they close. So,
Just add to that.
Please.
Yeah. When we had to get there early to get these good seats. So we got there, and there was a family in front of us, which consisted of about 4 ladies and the guy. Right?
Yeah.
So they went and said, so as we were running, as they went in ahead of us, they're saying, take this table. And it was perfect. We had a great time. We were having such a great time that the guy had enough of the ladies for whatever and came out and hung out with us.
Yep.
And he was the funniest, bought rounds for everybody. It was all free anyway.
yeah. But And
He was a great guy.
we were all wearing our Giants jerseys,
Oh, yeah.
and they had their full-on Cardinals thing, and we laughed and had the best time together. And
And we saw him the next day. The name of their
yeah, that's right, the ballpark again. Yeah.
So Taguchi.
So yeah,
He's wearing a so
It's
Taguchi.
Gucci. Yeah.
that's how dedicated a Cardinal fan he was. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, you would not wear a So Taguchi jersey anyway.
Great ball. Great time.
Good times. Last call, Hall.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Chuck's actually running for me.
All right. I've got one more, and it involves JC. Is it okay?
Yay!
All right. We were playing in a tournament in Mesa. We were staying at the Mesa Golf Resort. Well, we got in that morning, and it started raining, hard. And so, as a matter of fact, I think they closed the airport because they had a tornado watch. It was, wow, that bad. So, obviously, we were done playing for the next morning. The fields were flooded. We had all kinds of, we did lots of little antics. That's another show. But we wanted to go play cards somewhere. So we rented another room within the Mesa, Arizona place. And they brought tables out, and we played poker. And they brought people in and with drinks and just buckets of beer and wine and whatever we wanted. And we were playing cards. And JC was knocking down kilt lifters like they weren't going to make them anymore.
And kilt lifter is like 6.5% alcohol.
Yeah, it's a strong drink.
7% alcohol.
It's a strong drink.
7.5.
Well, here he.
So we get done. We finally came up with a winner or decided that it was a draw or whatever. But we stopped playing. We were getting hungry. We wanted to go to get something to eat. So one of the fellows, God rest his soul, Willie Whiteberg, suggested we go down into Old Town Scottsdale and go to City Hall. And it's a very nice steakhouse. Very nice steakhouse. And so we start heading over that way. And JC needed a little help to get in the car.
No.
And so we put him in the backseat, swore him, and off we go to City Hall. We get to City Hall, and he's in no shape to have dinner at all. So we said, well, okay, we'll just leave him here. And we valeted the car and didn't tell him that JC was in the backseat. So he goes and parks the car. We go inside to have dinner. And as we're sitting there, there's like 10 or 12 of us there. There's a group of 3 ladies right off to the side, right next to our table, but over here. And one's a little older, the other 2 younger. But they're dressed very nice. And she leans over to me and says, I noticed all the Giants gear you guys are wearing. What's that about? I said, oh, we're down here playing a tournament, and we're Giants fantasy campers, and we play for the Giants. And we play other campers from other teams. She says, oh, okay. Well, my son plays baseball for the Giants. I said, oh, really? She says, yeah, that's my husband. Who's your husband? Well, that's Rich Aurelia.
Yeah.
So we were having dinner next to Rich Aurelia's mom and his wife at the time. And they were very nice.
And JC this all the time.
Our drunk buddies in a car.
I didn't
But he's already in LA.
I didn't tell them that.
Could be in Tijuana by now.
So, we was a rented car. And so we get done with dinner, and it was fun to meet them, and that's about the gist of our conversation. We were done then, and we got up, we left, and we go to give the guy our ticket, and we're going, should we tell him or not? He said, nah. So I can just picture him standing up in the back of the back seat while this guy is driving. And, he'll wreck our rented car into somebody else's. Hey, we weren't driving. So I'm sure City Hall could afford it. But he didn't. They pulled it up, and we woke him up. And he was actually, he was faring pretty decent after that long nap and leisurely dinner that we had. So we weren't quite done yet. So we started driving to a different club here and a different club there. And he was getting better and better all the time. And the more times we stopped at a different place, pretty soon we ended up giving the keys, and he was a designated driver because he was in better shape than the rest of them. So that's my story. That's my story.
Hey, was that a regular car or was that my wife's Suburban?
No, it's on a different topic. Yeah, that's a different.
Okay. Next up,
All right. Hey, we're running up against time a little bit here.
Time is a
We got
Absolutely.
some
Tigers on there.
some comments in here. Robbie, why don't you play some of those in? What do we got here? Tiger?
We got Tiger.
Oh, cool.
We'll play Tiger,
Tiger.
and then these other ones I may play out of order, so I apologize
It's all
in
right.
advance because I got a Rocktoberfest.
Hey guys, Tiger here. Just noticing your new jerseys. They look fantastic. So my one question is, who did that great jingle? Have a good show. See you guys
Here,
soon.
what do you say?
He wants to know who did the jingle.
Okay, tell us the jingle. Rob.
Singer-songwriter Shelby Ann. Look her up, shelbyannmusic.com. She's available for concerts, parties, bar mitzvahs, whatever.
The guys at Yankees Coast to Coast would like to hire her, and we told them, she said no.
Nothing.
All right. Our friend, he is our friend, Mike Miller, has left us a lot of his sports events that relate to beer experiences or stories.
I feel like he was drinking when he left these.
Yes. No.
Another moment in sports that I think is beer related, and since it's a New York Jets thing and I'm a Jets fan and embarrassed to be so, we'll go with Joe Namath stumbling on to the ESPN set and trying to kiss Susie Colbert because he was just too damn drunk. I think that was beer, among other things, probably with Joe Namath.
Joe Namath trying to kiss.
I just want to kiss you.
So I
just want to kiss
you
you.
guys remember that? I think it was a Monday night
I think
football
so.
game,
On
and
the
Susie
sideline.
Colbert is interviewing Namath, and all he wants to do is make out with her.
Yeah.
And I think Susie Colbert was gay, so that probably made it even more interesting.
Was he wearing a fur coat then?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Was he wearing pantyhose? He did pantyhose
Maybe.
commercials. He did.
All right, we got another one from him.
So the series of light beer from Miller commercials, not just because it's my name, but because they were great commercials, whether it was Bob Uecker sitting in the front row, John Madden coming through a wall, George Steinbrenner firing Billy Martin once again. Any one of those commercials would be a great moment in sports for beer. The only ones that don't work are David Ortiz and Jorge Posada, the most recent ones, because those commercials are god-awful.
Tastes great.
Apparently, he does not like any of the commercials done by Red Sox players.
Yeah.
Those
Why?
Miller beer commercials were classic,
They were.
even today.
Yep.
Yes.
I kind of wish they'd bring them back.
All right, now the next two, this is the part where I think the alcohol kicked in.
Okay.
Well, Michael Miller from Yankees Coast to Coast, still recovering from the World Series. But the best beer story I could think of is 10-cent beer night, held in Cleveland, 1974. Of course, beers were only 65 cents, which was a good discount still at 10 cents. But the Rangers and Indians had a brawl the week before, so giving everybody 10-cent beers and then sending them out to yell at the Texas Rangers did not work out so well. Great night.
So Dave already told us that story.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it was. That's amazing.
Didn't the Brewers already also try that too?
The Stockton Porch used to do nickel beer night.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how I used to walk over with my 50-cent piece with the John F. Kennedy and go, I'd like 10 of these, please. The weird thing was the beers were small, like shots.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dixie
right.
So to have a
Dixie
Kennedy piece and the shot was kind of weird.
Yeah.
You do the whole,
But
think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah, I
tonight,
know.
you
November
wake up-
22nd. Yes.
Moving on.
Okay. Back in the 80s, Salinas Spurs would have quarter beer night, and that's pretty much the same concept. They get a little five. The guy would take the tray and then stack the beers on the tray. So he's carrying a pyramid of beer. And after the fifth inning, it wasn't the game anymore. It's this fat slob gonna make it up back to his seat with his pyramid of beer.
Which is basically every minor league game I've ever been to.
Right.
Who's he gonna spill it on?
Yeah. And when he biffed, the crowd just went crazy. It was
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
great fun.
All right. I think Robbie said we're done with our comments. Any honorable mentions? I think you guys are all storied out.
I think we have a story now.
All right.
How about
Hey,
this story right here?
Yeah,
this is a good
I got an
story.
honorable mention on my hand.
There we go. Cheers.
Thanks again to Almanac Brewing
Thank you,
for
Almanac.
Great day.
hosting us
Thank you.
this evening. Our friend Kevin, who gave us the brewery tour today. That was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Very good.
Yes,
We'll
it
be
was.
back next week for the same tour.
Thank you. Thank you for a studio audience.
That's right.
Yeah, we got all
Yeah.
By the way, in the history of the highlights from Lowlifes, this is the largest crowd we've ever
Yeah.
had in a live show.
by 300%.
This is 300% more than us. Than we've ever had. Hey, thank you again for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday at 6 p.m. with a as yet unknown topic and as yet unknown host. But we'll be here. Highlights from Lowlifes. Thanks for joining us. Play us out.
Highlights from Lowlifes.